Greetings, Guzzlers. Well, different night for me to be cooking. Well, it's not a different night for me cooking because I do normally cook on a Sunday, but I don't normally do my specialities. But for one reason or another, I'm doing it tonight on a Sunday. And we're going back to our favourite Jamie. And a little while ago, I did do one of Jamie's air fryer recipes. We're doing another one. If you want the Jamie version, it's his air fryer chicken in a bag infused with lemongrass, lime leaves, ginger and chilli. Or we can shorten that down and just say it's chicken with Asian flavours in a bag. So this recipe is essentially all the ingredients chucked in a bag, made of foil, chucked in the air fryer drawer. Now, his recipe was a recipe for one. Essentially, it was like, I might prepare this, I don't know, the day before, and then I come home from work and I'll do sling it in the air fryer. Well, in the old days, he'd just sling it in the oven. And he said he used to do it for his wife when they were students, get it all ready, pack it up and leave a little note to say lunch is in the fridge or dinner's in the fridge or whatever. So we're obviously doubling up because we're making for two. So we might have to have a slight variation. He used the air fryer to cook everything. Cook everything. We might have to cook the bags because we'll have two in the air fryer, and then the sort of garnishy bit might have to just do that in a little pan, but we'll see how we go. So we're going to make marinade. Now he says this is like 10 minutes to prepare and 20 minutes to cook. That's Jamie 10 minutes, which it's going to take a little bit longer. So I'm going to vary things slightly how he did it, but we're going to start by making the marinade. You're going to want a couple of spring onions, stick of lemongrass, 12 lime leaves, a couple of garlic cloves, some fresh ginger, 2 chillies, some sesame oil, some light soy sauce and some coriander. And that's what's going to make up the marinade. So in my mortar and pestle, or pestle and mortar, whichever way around, I don't know. You're going to put about 12 lime leaves. Now he uses fresh lime leaves. God knows where he gets fresh lime leaves. So they're dried. If they got some like quite hard stalks on them, like that bit I just noticed, get them out. Now he starts by putting them in there, adding a generous pinch of salt, and then says let's bash them together. But here's, because they were fresh, obviously that's going to be a little bit different to what we need to do. Right, next thing, you're going to want 2 red chillies, but we're going to keep one back for Ron, if you like. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to take 1 chilli and we're just going to roughly chop it, and that's then going into that as well. Whether you want to de-seed it or not is entirely up to you. Like your fingers, but too late really. Now your ginger, you want some fresh ginger. Let me just move that out of the way. I don't know what's happened to my other little... oh, someone's put it in there. What a surprise. Things in this house never get put away where they should be. And I spend, I don't know how bloody long looking for these things, never find them, and then later on you'll be doing something completely different in a completely different part of the kitchen. So lo and behold, there's the what I want. Not naming notes, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying these things just don't get put away where they belong. Ooh, just think, oh, this is like the frozen one, hence the reason I'm grating it. So, doing about 2 centimetres of that, in that goes. Oh, that is good. Right, I've peeled my garlic, so I'm just going to roughly chop the garlic. He says trying to chop the end of his finger off. So What's an air fryer? Well, we have sort of talked about an air fryer before. An air fryer is not really a fryer at all. It got given this name because essentially it was all about reducing the amount of fat and oil. Now I'm taking my lemongrass, and again we just want to chop that up. This is a little bit on the woody side, so hence you might want to chop it a little bit finer. But yeah, the air fryer is actually just a little mini convection oven. And it just sort of saves energy rather than you heat up your whole oven just to sort of put one thing in it. The idea of the air fryer is obviously it uses less energy, it's got a smaller space to heat up, but really, like we've said before, by rights, should be calling it an air oven or just a mini oven. Anyway, that's all gone in there, and now we just want to lightly, well I say lightly, we want to bash it all together, but I'm starting off a bit gentle so I don't want it all flying bloody everywhere. Now I've got a bit ahead of myself, the spring onion don't go in here, so I just got out of the way, but we will want some light soy sauce and some sesame oil added in there in a minute. But first I want to just try and reduce this down a little bit. I also forgot to mention, by the way, the coriander, I know there's a few leaves in here but I couldn't be asked. The stalks actually are full of flavour. So strip the stalks off, a bunch of cauliflower. Fucking hell, what's wrong with me? Need a beer. We get rid of the stalks, chop them up roughly, and they will go into this mix. And then we're just pounding this down. It's quite a coarse paste, not, you know, we're not shoving it in a blender or anything like that. And actually, surprisingly, I'm getting quite a lot of moisture in there now. Intriguingly, a bit later on in the recipe, when we're about to sort of like seal the bag up, he says before you do that you put about a tablespoon of something of water in there. Given the amount of water that comes out of the chicken, probably end up like soup, but anyway, we'll see. So that's getting pretty coarse now, so we're going to add about a teaspoon of sesame oil. This is toasted, just because that's what I had to hand. In that goes, and we're just going to mix that in. We will want some more of that romp when we come to do our parcels. But like I said, this is quite a coarse paste, and then we want to add about 4 tablespoons of light soy sauce. I'll have to open the other one up. 1, 2. Alright, I'm going to add in another 2 more and then give it a mix up. The marinade over there out of the way at the moment. So now we're going to start preparing what's going to go into our little parcel. So we're having 1 nest each. Okay. So this will be interesting actually separating it. And then I'm just going to cover it for about 3 minutes in boiling water. I just realised I've used the metal one, that's going to be right hot in a minute. Won't be picking up. So while that's soaking, we're going to take some sugar snap peas. Pardon me, about 100 grams of them. Ooh, you little shite. And what we want to do is just slice these lengthways. Half will go in one parcel, half in the other. So we're talking about an air fryer. Essentially what it's relying on is that the hot air is circulated around your food, a bit like in a fan oven, but at a high temperature, such that a minimum amount of oil will create the Maillard or whatever it is reaction, resulting in the sort of like the darkening and the crispening of whatever, and it using the minimum amount of oil. But even so, it's not actually essentially frying it. The original air fryer, if you like, was developed by Philips, and they just essentially had a heating element sitting on the top or above the food, and then like a fan that blasted a strong air current up into the chamber, if you like, and so obviously it circulated the heat. Nowadays it's done slightly differently. The fan is actually blowing the air off over the element, and into the oven bucket, if you like. So that's them halved. Then we've got 130 grams of baby corn. These are quite chunky ones, so what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to share these between each of us. Okay, each bag. I'll just slice them in half. Oh, a pak choy. So we're going to take a pak choy in a minute. I'll cut that one in half, to be honest. It's a bit long. So that one actually. So that's them sort of evenly distributed. Let me put the chilli there. And so our pak choy, I'm just going to remove these outer leaves because we have to watch, obviously lots of dirt getting there, and then I'm going to give it a bit of a clean. But we're not actually really doing much with this other than cutting in half. So I've halved my pak choy. I've diagonally sort of thinly sliced my spring onions, shared them. I've thinly sliced that last chilli, split them. I've drained my noodles. Okay, the coriander and peanuts are going to be used at the end to garnish it with. It's actually the peanuts, and we couldn't get unsalted peanuts. Oh, yeah, never mind. But he suggested you used unsalted peanuts, and like I said to you at the beginning, with this air fryer, which apparently the technique was originally patented as the rapid air technology, he puts the bag in the big drawer because he uses a dual drawer Tefal. We're actually using Lakeland one, which is almost exactly the same size drawer. Well, I think it is exactly the same size. So he makes the bag, or cooks the bag in the big one, and he roasts the peanuts in the small one. We may have to use both drawers to cook the bags. We'll see. So everything else ready to go, but we now need to marinate our chicken. So take a chicken breast, and we want to score it because we want to be able to rub that marinade into it. Now you can, you know, we could have marinated this, done all that first, shoved it in the fridge or whatever and let that marinate, but we didn't have time. So we're going to leave it to one side while we prepare the bags. Drunk my last beer, I'm now drinking the last of the wine. Well, there is more, but I mean it's the last of the bottle that started last night. So I'm just going to get a bit cleared up, and we're going to apply the marinade to that chicken. Well, I've got a glove on for this because Jamie is being Jamie, he just puts his hand in there. But what we want to do is just rub this mayonnaise. We want to rub this marinade over that chicken, getting it down in them slashes. I'm just going to go all over my bloody oven. Should have done this on the side, but I suddenly realised afterwards, of course, I've got my chopping board there. So there are some juices in there. We will add them in a bit. So, like I said, you could do this and let this sit and marinate as long as you want. We're now just going to move it to one side and we're going to start preparing the bag. Now you're going to need quite a lot of foil. You're going to need an egg and some more sesame oil, and then we just assemble the parcels. So let me get some room and we'll get making parcels. Like working in the post office, isn't it? So I've torn off 2 long lengths of foil, and what we want to do is just fold this in half. Okay, now I'm just going to put that one to one side. That's the second bag. So let's take the second one. We're going to fold it in half, and then we're just going to fold it in half again and open it up like a book. Okay, and our food is going to sit in the middle there. Now, this is where we want to take some sesame oil, and we're just going to add a little dribble of that, and then I'm just going to find a brush. Again, of course, using your hands. Well, that's Jeremy for you. Might add just a little bit more. Remember, I need some for the other one, so don't use all your sesame oil. I don't like it anymore. So we're just doing that. Ooh, that's draining everywhere, that marinade. Make a right bloody mess there. So, first things first, we take one of those nests. Now, bear in mind, it's a bit difficult to see. Ooh, that's hot. I think I've got 1.5 there. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, quite a lot there. Someone's going to get a lot of noodles. So we just spread that out. Bear in mind we need to seal this up, so don't go right up to the edges. And then you're going to take the pak choy, sit that in the middle. Okay. We want some sugar snap peas. Where they go? They're over here. Okay. So we're now just there's sort of layers of stuff here going on. Okay. On goes those. Spring onions. On there you go. And then not a lot of room in here, you know. On goes our baby corn. I severely wonder whether this really will cook, like he says, in 20 minutes. But anyway, that's Jamie for you. Right. Then we're just going to put the chilli on. Okay, that we've finely sliced. So that's that one on there. And now, this is where we take one piece of that marinated chicken and we lay that on top. And we just lost some of the marinade there. So I'm just pouring that on top. And what I'm also going to do is, now he talks about adding, actually no, not yet. What we're going to do is I need to beat up one of these eggs, and you're going to need a pastry brush. I've beaten that egg up, and what we do is we are just going to paint egg around the outside edges of this parcel. The idea being that obviously as it sort of cooks, the egg will help seal it. So we want to try and bring this together and start folding this over to seal up this bag. So I've started from that end, so I want to leave a gap on top at the moment. Okay, I think I should have made the bag a little bit longer. I was a bit worried I didn't have enough foil. Okay, now I've left a little gap at the top because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take half of that marinade and pour that in there, and because of the amount of veg we got there, I might still do what he suggests, and I'm going to add a little bit of water into there, and then we're just going to seal that finally up, and that parcel is now ready to go into our air fryer drawer. Now, as it happens, I think I can get both in there. Okay, so I better do what he does. I better do my peanuts in the other side. So all I'm going to do now is just repeat that process with the other parcel. Both my parcels are in the drawer. Now, he tends to just cook things in the drawers. Now, you can't do the peanuts in these drawers unless you take out the inserts. And I'm not going to do that and cook it. So I'm going to put a liner in. And I've got 200 grams of these salted peanuts. I want just under half of them. Just spread them in there. Now, in his Tefal, excuse me, I need a drink. He says we now cook our chicken parcels for 20 minutes at 200 C, and we do the nuts at 20 C for 5 minutes. Sorry, 200 C for 500 minutes. Now, unlike his Ninja one, his Tefal one, he can set a timer so that it essentially starts at 5 minutes before the end of the 20 minutes, if you like. Can't do that with mine. So I'm going to have to manually do this. I suspect I'm going to need longer than 20 minutes. So I'm going to cook in my, and he does actually say all air fryers are different. All these rapid air fryer technology things are different. So obviously you need to adapt it. I'm going to give mine 30 minutes at 200. And then what I've noticed with this Lakeland one is a smaller drawer never cooks as hot as the other one. So I'm going to give this 10 minutes at 200. So I'll start this 10 minutes before the others are ready. So that gives me time to eat some nuts. All you're going to need now is the coriander, and when we've done these nuts, the nuts at the end. Okay, so let's get cooking. We're at the last 10 minutes, so I'll put the peanuts on to cook. I've tore off some coriander leaves, one per parcel, and you're also going to want a squeeze of lime juice. So I've got a lime there. Once the air fryer, which was invented in 2006 by a Dutchman, Fred van der Weij, or what's saying like that, W-E-I-J, but I don't know how to spell it, pronounce it in Dutch. He invented it in 2006 because he wanted to cook essentially fried food without saturating it in oil, because when you fry food in oil, the oil allows you to bring the temperature up well above the boiling point of water. But obviously it can be a bit unhealthy because it's a lot of fat there. Although some people will argue if you do it right, it's not an awful lot of fat gets absorbed in the food, but anyway, whatever. He wanted a method to cook it in a minimum amount of oil, and that's what he invented. And then he went to Philips in 2010 and said, what do you think of this? In 2010, Philips said, oh yeah. And that's when the air fryer came into to being. They gave it, like we said, the name rapid air technology to what they called the rush technology, if you like, the radiant and upstream heating. Because like I said before, the way they did it was they heated from the top and blew air up to circulate around. Nowadays they all work by blowing air down over the element. So there you go, a little potted history of the air fryer. So got, I don't know why I'm looking at my watch, it's bloody time on the thing. So when it's cooked, we eat it out the parcel. So we'll put it on a plate and then we'll do the garnishing and we'll see what it tastes like. I think it's going to be a bit hot. So the moment of truth. Give them 30 minutes like I said. Let's take out the first parcel. Just move that out of the way. Now, and I also need, of course, the nuts, which go 10 minutes at 200, and they're quite nicely toasted. Let me get a spoon to get them out with. So, obviously this is all sealed up, so just be careful. I mean, you can, if you like, get a pair of scissors and just snip across the top. It is hot in there. Foil isn't that hot. Ooh. It's more the steam that's in there. It's looking like it might be cooked. So we're just going to peel that back. Okay. And then we want to add some coriander. Squeeze of lime. And then, now Jamie says, take your nuts after you roast them and chop them, but I can't be arsed. So I'm just going to sprinkle half of them nuts over the top. So there is Jamie's air fryer chicken in a bag, infused with lemongrass, ginger, lime leaves and chilli. So all it leaves now is to taste the bloody thing. But I'm going to keep this one because this one's the wife. Or going to be for the wife, not it, this isn't the wife. So here we go. So I ended up with a few more peanuts than the wife, but let's just take a bit of chicken. Straight away, I've got the lime and that chilli. It is hot, okay? If you don't like your chilli, I would suggest you cut back on your chilli. Let's just try this bit of sweet corn. Still nice and crisp. I mean, it's not quite dripping in sauce. There is a little moisture at the bottom here. Let's try and pull up some. I've got a bit of chicken. I've got a bit of pak choy. I've got some noodle there. If the pak choy behaves itself. Well, it's not behaving itself, but let's take the whole bloody lot. I think I'll just cut through the foil. I'm trying to. Oh, bloody pak choy, get on that bleeding fork and stay there, you little shit. Oh, that pak choy does not want to be eaten. Forget that then. Go for sweet, stupid snap pig. Creme. Veg is cooked, but nice and crisp. It's not gone all soggy. It's not dripping wet on the sauce, but you're getting all them flavours. Getting definitely, obviously, getting the chilli, getting the lime, getting the flavours of the onion, sweet corn, the sweetness from that. Very nice, Jamie. But I think 20 minutes with that one in my air fryer wouldn't have been enough. So like you said, and like I said, you might need to adjust your times. But there you go. Cheers, Jamie.